Hello and welcome to Commander 99's Deck Tech series. I'm Reid and I'm joined with Austin today,
Hello.
and we're going to talk about what's in the 99 today. We're talking about Arcades the Strategist. Arcades is an Elder Dragon that costs one, a blue, green, and a white, has flying vigilance, and whenever a defender enters the battlefield under your control, you draw a card, and it also has each creature you control with defender assigns combat damage equal to the toughness rather than its power and can attack as though it didn't have defender. So it's quite unique abilities in the Bant colors. And in addition to that, we built the two decks for the deck techs that you are seeing today for the preview card that was given to us by Wizards of the Coast for the Commander 2018 series, which we are very happy to reveal is Finest Hour. If you don't know what Finest Hour is, it is an enchantment for 2, a green, a white, and a blue, Exalted. So whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And whenever a creature you control attacks alone, if it is the first combat phase of the turn, untap that creature. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. This deck is kind of trying to interact with that unique aspect of Finest Hour, in addition to doing some of the unique things that Arcades brings to the table.
Yeah, it sounds really good. I mean, being able to use Finest Hour with Arcades, it kind of allows you to get an additional attack in with him, which additional combats aren't usually common in the Bant colors. And because Arcades has flying, I definitely can see how this card would fit in this deck. You know, you attack with it alone, deal 3 damage, you get an additional combat, you attack with everything, gets in for some more damage, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. The deck is sort of an Enchantress deck, but not in the sense of specifically casting auras to equip creatures. We're looking more at playing a lot of defenders to trigger that first and second ability of Arcades, and then having our enchantments increase the toughness of our creatures, which is something that is a unique effect for the Bant colors. We do have access to cards like Builder's Blessing and Castle, which both allow untapped creatures to get +2/+0. It also gives us access to Lumen Thread Field and Parapet, which gives us +0/+1, and Spider Silk Armor, which gives us +0/+1 and reach to all of our creatures.
I really like this build because, you know, the enchantments further build upon what the deck strategy is trying to do. You know, enchantments, they help your walls, you know, they help your defenders. They give them all toughness bonuses that you can, you know, get in and assign more combat damage with Arcades out. What other cards did you include that kind of, you know, synergize well with Arcades? I guess that you wouldn't see in a traditional Arcades deck where you're mostly playing defenders to get a draw engine. You know, this is more focused on that extra boost from the enchantments.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are playing a couple of cards that I would not expect in a normal Arcades deck. Because we're playing so many enchantments, we are playing Eidolon of Blossoms and Whitewater Naiads, both of which have Constellation. The first one, the Eidolon of Blossoms, is going to increase our draw potential every time we play an enchantment, and the Whitewater Naiads is going to allow Arcades, or whatever we're swinging with, to get in some free damage with that unblockable. You're also going to see Sublime Archangel in the list, because we are playing a bunch of defenders, which is to help defend our life total.
As far as removal, what would you say you have in this deck that would help, you know, deal with your opponent's creatures? Because you are playing a ton of enchantments, maybe what are some of the enchantments that do that?
All right, yeah. So we are playing Imprisoned in the Moon and Song of the Dryads, both of which are enchantments that turn a target into a land. This is a great way to remove your opponent's commanders and problem creatures, maybe ones that have some form of recursion. In addition to that, there are 2 cards, enchantments in the known pull of cards that allow you to give the enchanted creature Defender. Guard Duty and Zephyrnet. Both of these are fairly cheap enchantments, and they allow you to give the enchanted creature Defender. This serves kind of 2 purposes. The first one is removal. We can target our opponent's big scary creature and just make it a blocker. Because of all of our kind of evasion and subversion, we can get past that blocker. The other reason that we play these cards is to equip them or enchant them onto Arcades, so that Arcades then becomes a 5/5 flyer vigilance, or because we're playing a bunch of enchantments that increase the toughness size, make it even stronger. Kind of along that theme of making sure that Arcades gets Defender in some way, we are running the Dragon here. This legendary artifact equipment usually lets you prevent one of your creatures from attacking to give all of your other creatures a huge buff. So the equipped creature has Defender, and it also has pay 2, tap it. Other creatures you control gain trample, and +X, where X is the power of that creature. So we can equip that to Arcades, and even with now gaining Defender, it can still swing because of its own ability. Since it has Vigilance, we can already have been swinging before activating the Dragon Throne of Tarkir.
I was looking at a couple other cards you have in your list that, I didn't necessarily include in my Enchantress build.
We are playing quite a few enchantment tutors. We're playing cards like Plea for Guidance, which is a 6-mana sorcery in white, which allows you to search for 2 enchantments, reveal them, and put them into your hand, and then shuffle your library. It's expensive mana cost-wise, but being able to gain access to our game-changing enchantments is well worth the cost. Cards like Finest Hour or Builder's Blessing, even just Zephyrnet to be able to lock something down or give Arcades Defender. It's very important to be able to have access to these. So we are running Plea for Guidance and Idyllic Tutor and Eladamri's Call to get whatever creature we might need, if that's an Edelana Blossoms or one of our other defenders.
Yeah, it looks like, you really focused in on the Defender strategy, and I really like that. You kind of are trying to just build up your board until you can get these enchantments. What other ways would you say you have to protect protect yourself from taking damage? I mean, you have these walls, all these defenders, but when you want to go on the offense, I guess what else might you do?
Yeah, so the deck is running a couple of enchantments that allow you to swing freely and not really have to worry about the backlash. So cards like Brave the Sands, which allows creatures to have vigilance and also block an additional creature, or Orification, where if our opponents decide to swing at us, their creatures are going to get turned into defenders. We also have access, because of our colors, to both Propaganda and to Ghostly Prison to make our opponents pay more, and in that regard, also Sphere of Safety. So it's usually creatures to set up, enchantments in the middle, and then you're able to swing out in a more wide fashion than most Enchantress decks get to go, and hit many different opponents at the same time.
Just wanted to say thanks again to Wizards of the Coast for giving us this preview card with Finest Hour. It's really an interesting way to see it played in this Arcades deck.
Oh, and thank you again to all of our listeners. If you guys had a great time listening to this deck tech, we have another one. We also have some gameplay between those two decks that we will be releasing. So thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, tell us why, and subscribe.